Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. As you can probably tell from the thumbnail, this video is going to be pretty painful to talk about. And you're probably wondering, why am I sitting in a hardware parking lot, like hardware store parking lot? But so this is actually the last place I left before I was in my motorcycle accident. Early 2020. It happened on March 7th. So for this video, I'm going to be riding the exact same path that I was on when I got in the motorcycle accident, and then I'll talk a little bit about my injuries and a couple things that went down during the accident. So let's get into it. So funny story, I actually filmed this video yesterday, edited the entire thing, and realized that I'm an idiot and filmed the whole video in 1440p, which, if you don't know what that means, it films the video in the wrong aspect ratio of a 4:3 instead of a 19:6 or something like that. So when I uploaded it to YouTube, it was a square. It looked like an old VHS tape. If you don't know what that is, just Google it. And it had like this big old black bars on the side. Drove me absolutely insane. The quality got a little compressed too, so I'm like, screw it. You know, it's like freaking 35 degrees out here right now, so I just bundled up, and it's time to get after it. Give you a nice little pull there. But yeah, it's freezing. Yeah, I kind of regret doing that now. I got the latex gloves on underneath the gloves, keep my hands a little bit warm. I got leggings on under my jeans. So we'll see how well that does. Usually the past couple days I've been riding when it's cold. I get home and like pretty much fall off the bike because I can't even use my legs anymore, they're so cold. And then yeah, my fingers, those suck too, so I get a little heater, stick them in front of there, but I'll survive it. So a little bit about the accident. First I'll talk about what I was so we left that hardware store, and we were actually there because my buddy, who I'll leave his YouTube channel down in the description, does a lot of drone footage. And we were leaving our old high school that we graduated from. There's a big old parking lot, and he was trying to get some drone footage of me on my 2017 GSX-R 600, which was only 3 weeks old, by the way, when I got in the accident. So he ended up like crashing the drone or something like that at the old high school, and we came over to this hardware store because he needed a screw or something like that he didn't have. So then as soon as we got the screw, we were on our way back to the high school to get some more drone footage. That day ended up working out pretty good because it was early March, so it was kind of cold, so therefore I had a winter jacket on and a windbreaker, which kind of took the brunt of my fall on my upper half of my body. Now the lower half of my body, I was wearing ripped jeans. Now there was a big old hole over my right kneecap, and what you can probably imagine when you crash, what kneecap got it the worst. Let's just say there was a big old hole there. It was nasty. But so proper clothing is very important when dressing for a crash. I learned that one the hard way. So like I said, this is the exact same path I was on when I came to my accident. I actually hit this red light up here. I was in this lane and I came to the red light. I was at, yep, just like this is happening. Hey, I'll tell you what, it sucks to talk about an accident while you're riding a motorcycle. You feel like especially riding the exact route that happened, you gotta get like some flashbacks. But there was a car to the right of me at this stoplight as well. Like when it happened, my buddy was right behind me following me. And so when I hit this red light, obviously it turned green, and right where that person is about to turn left, right behind them is a like a little on-ramp to get onto this like highway, and some guy almost pulled out to the guy on the right of me, so I kind of like jumped at that, and then right where that red car is right there, this lady turned left, and she turned left into this oncoming turn lane, and then took this lane away from me. I went over the right one, she took that one away too, so I ended up dumping the bike, and it slid right there, and the bike landed right there. I landed somewhere in the grass right over there. So it was not a fun experience. when I went to, like, when I realized I was crashing, you know, I kind of slammed the brakes. My bike didn't have ABS. I don't know if it would have been a different story about ABS or not, but I locked them up, and next thing you know, like, it all happened super fast. So I'm locking the brakes up. Next thing you know, like, the bike is sideways on the ground because the back tire hopped out because I slammed the brakes so bad. So next thing you know, I'm like sliding across the pavement. I can feel the handlebars just scraping the pavement, like gouging them. It was weird. And then next thing you know, it like literally felt like one more eye blink, and you know, next thing you know, I'm tumbling through the air, just rolling, which actually felt like kind of like a dirt bike accident, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. And I was rolling. I remember my hands smacking the ground really hard. I remember seeing them hit the ground, and then next thing you know, like, I got a glimpse and like no more material on my gloves. So I was like, oh, that's fantastic. And so I'm like rolling. I'm like, oh, this really isn't that bad. Then all of a sudden, boom, slam my head into the concrete. I kind of rolled one more time, and I saw, like, looked up at the sky, and I saw like stars shooting. Like, if you hit your head really hard, you know what that feels like. It literally just feels like crap's moving that's not supposed to move. And so I was like, oh man, this is kind of serious. And I finally came to rest in the grass area, and I was kind of laying there. My legs were kind of all like tangled up on each other, and everybody came running over. It felt like a split second, but it, you know, it took some time for everybody to get over there. And I was like, man, the first thought, I'm gonna be honest, the first thought that went through my brain when this all happened was, man, I hope the bike's all right. Which, if you're not a motorcyclist, nobody understands that. But like, if you are a motorcyclist, you're like, man, I don't care, I can heal, but the bike cannot heal. Like, is the bike fine? And so I'm laying there, and everybody comes running over. They're like, oh my gosh, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. You know, I was like, but I got, like, the real question is the bike all right? And I remember this one lady, she was like, she looks over her shoulder at the bike, looks back at me, and goes, you can always get a new bike. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, are you kidding me? And so everybody comes over, they're all concerned. This lady called my dad from my phone, and then which actually the lady that hit me, like, she never came to see if I was all right. She was like, I saw her, like, you know, when the fire department and ambulance came, I saw her like standing off in the distance. She was like 20 feet away, just standing there with her hands over her mouth. And she's like, is he all right? And I was like asking somebody else, I'm like, why don't you just walk over here and see if I'm all right yourself? And at this point, you know, like, the thing that hurt really bad were my, when they came over, they're like, what hurts the worst? And I'm like, man, my fingers are killing me. And, you know, let me make sure this lint, I'm getting some stuff on mine. But yeah, they were like, I'm like, man, my fingers are freaking killing me. Like, they felt like they were about to explode, which I thought, you know, that meant like I destroyed my hands. I was scared to death. I was like, man, hopefully I have meat left on my hands. And because like I said, I was getting scared to death about that, because I remember my hands hitting the ground so hard. But eventually, like, I soon realized that it was only because I smacked them against the pavement, like, super hard. So it was fine. It ended up being like super fine. I only had like a couple scrapes and stuff on them, but it was fine. And then now the real injury, which I didn't know at the time, were my legs. And so the ambulance got there. They started poking my like stomach, all kinds of stuff, asking me to do a bunch of questions and all that crap, make sure I was fine. And then they're like, all right, you want to stand up? And I, like I said, my pant legs were like rolled up from the accident for some reason. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. So I stood up, started walking around, and I picked up my phone and I called my mom to let her know I was in an accident, probably going to the hospital. And so I'm like, as I'm walking around, my mom didn't answer the phone. Now this is where the story gets kind of funny. So next thing you know, I'm getting a call from no caller ID number, which if you star 67 a number and call somebody, it bypasses a block. But I don't even think I had my ex-girlfriend blocked. Well, anyways, it ended up being my ex-girlfriend. And her mom was like, oh my gosh, like, I just saw this accident outside of our neighborhood. And then she's like, please tell me that wasn't Ethan. And I was like, and she calls me freaking out. and she was like, yeah, you know, there was an accident outside my neighborhood. You know, only you would be riding on a day like today. She's like, please tell me that wasn't you. I was like, oh, it was me. And next thing you know, I'm in the ambulance, go to the hospital, and so I'm on my way there and just like cutting it up with the guy in the back. I was super stoked that, you know, they say there's two types of motorcycle riders: those that have gone down and those that have yet to go down. And it's like, man, it's like I just got freaking what do they call that? Like I just got entered the freaking brotherhood of motorcycle crashers that have hit the pavement and survived. It's like, cool, I paid my dues, I'm done, never crashing again. That's it. And which is kind of funny, but it's like, man, I was just super stoked that you know, thank God I was all right. You know, no broken bones or anything like that. But so, you know, I'm on my way to the hospital. I get there, and man, I got the best like friends and family in the world. As soon as I got there, there was like 10 people in the waiting room already waiting for me. And it's like I wasn't even at the hospital yet. I'm like, how the heck did you guys beat me here? And then so they get me in there. They gave me the Perkies, made me feel a little bit better. And then you know, they were like, oh, we want to run some x-rays, make sure nothing's broken, make sure, like, have the doctor check your wounds out, make sure we can't stitch them back together and all that crap, which they couldn't stitch them back together because there was literally nothing left on my kneecaps. Which, by the way, I'll go ahead and show those pictures now. So if you do not like nasty pictures, look away and I'll tell you when to look back. So first, I will show you my left kneecap and my right kneecap. And then I'll show you the back of my calf, which oddly looks like tire tread, which I think it got sucked into the back of the swing arm when I crashed, which is it's a miracle that my leg didn't break doing that. And then I'll go ahead and show some pictures of my arms, which actually just arm. And then I'll throw up a couple pictures of my fingers. So yeah, nothing too serious. My legs felt like they were just like peg legs. I couldn't bend them worth crap. I guess they're stopping. But yeah, I couldn't bend them worth anything. And putting socks on was an absolute nightmare. It literally took me like 15 minutes per sock to put on. But yeah, so back to the hospital. I was in there, all my family was in there and everything like that. And probably the most memorable time in the hospital was when my you know, the nurse was like, yeah, all right, hey, you got which you're only supposed to have 2 people in the ER room with you at a time. And then, like I said, there was like 8 at the time. And then she's like, hey, you have 2 more guests waiting to come in. And then I was like, oh, I know who that is. And my dad's like, looks at me like kind of questioning, and I was like, yep. And he turns the corner, opens up the curtain, he goes, oh Jesus. And here comes my ex-girlfriend and her mom in the room, and everybody's just like, what is she doing here? And I thought it was hilarious. And you know, after that, you know, like I said, they x-rayed me, they checked me out, and they're like, all right, well, before you go, we have to clean your wounds out. And I was like, which probably was the most, like, I don't know, I guess I was in shock, but it didn't hurt a whole lot, but like it was the most uncomfortable. And yeah, they were trying to get the gravel and stuff like that out of my knees, which again is like, oh my God, it makes me cringe to think about that, because that just, man, that's not a fun time. And so they ended up doing all that, cleaning it out. I went home that same night. Like I said, I was on the Perkies. I think the next day I stopped taking them or something like that. And I woke up and I was like, man, I really want some chicken. So I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I really want some chicken. He's like, oh, well, I'll go get it and bring it back for you. And I'm like, nah. Whoa, hold on. I forgot an important part of the story. When I was leaving the hospital, they were like, all right, you can go home now. And I was like, cool. And my mom, she was like, all right, well, can we get him a wheelchair, because he can't really walk. And I was just like, Mom, I can walk, come on, I'm a hard guy. And you know, she was like, all right, if you say so, you know, like, so we waited like 20 minutes for this wheelchair. It never came. And my dad's waiting for me outside, and like I said, it's been about 20 minutes, and I'm like, screw this. I was like, I got this. And she's like, you sure about this? And I was like, oh, Mom, I'm sure. And so I get up and I start taking a couple steps, and I'm like, oh, this ain't bad. And next thing you know, I turn the corner in the ER room. It felt like a freaking cartoon. It's like, this got longer and longer, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I didn't tell her that, but I was like, I don't know if I can do this. My knee was like the size of a freaking basketball by the time I was halfway through there. I could barely walk. I'm like, man, this is a really long walk. I should have waited for the wheelchair. And, which I ended up making it to the truck. And then now fast forward to the chicken part. I woke up the next morning, got a shower, dang near passed out in the shower because it hurt so bad. And then I was like, man, I really want that chicken. So I ended up going to the chicken restaurant with my dad. And we walked in, or I stumbled in basically, and I sat down in the booth while he ordered our chicken. And these little kids were like getting their drinks at the soda fountain, and then they turned around and look over, and here I am with my legs sticking out from underneath the table, and they're like, just like dropped everything. And I was like, oh God, I just scarred these kids. So I'm like taking my legs and like trying to shuffle them underneath the table. It was really bad. I'm like, I'm so sorry. But like from then on out, like, because I kind of leave them open as much as I could just to kind of heal as fast as they could. And like everybody always looked at me like I was a freaking walking zombie. But yeah, it was oh, good. Go ahead. Oh, thank you. So sitting here waving you on, buddy. But yeah, it was it ended up being kind of working out in my favor, because when I actually crashed, to talk about a little bit about the police report, I crashed and basically I slid off the bike. I flipped off the bike, and the bike ended up sliding into the back of the lady's car, popping one of her tires. So if that contact had never been made, she could have kept driving away, and she could have, like, I put a hose, you know, and so she ended up getting hit with failure to yield the right of way, and I got hit with improper control of vehicle because my bike hit the back of her car, which I was super upset over, because I'm like, how in the world, like, I avoided a rear-ending her, like, with me on the bike, and then like I had to prevent from hitting her somehow, and it just so happens that the bike crashed into the back of her car because she failed to yield. And I'm just like, yeah, this is some bull crap. Well, ended up going through insurance, everything like that, which she ended up paying for a new bike, paying for all my medical bills, and I got paid in suffering money, so it ended up working out pretty good in my favor. You know, it just like, man, I wish I just was riding like more defensively. You know, I just like, man, just don't try to predict what people do when they pull out in front of you, because they just cannot gauge speed at all. And she ended up telling her insurance company, when she was giving like her like witness statement or whatever, she's like, yeah, I didn't see him, I didn't hear him, like, I owned the lane before he hit me and everything. And I was like, that's a bunch of crap. It's like, how do you not? And I gave her like a red bomb, which these things red line at like, you know, like, they're all different. I think my Gixxer was like 17K, and like I gave her a red bomb, and that's loud. And I'm like, how did you not hear that? You must have been bumping in that car with some music or something, man. Like, there's no way she didn't hear that. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the accident. Like I said, not really a fun time at all. Well, if you guys liked the video, be sure to hit that share, like, subscribe, comment, whatever you will need to do. Hit that bell. Everybody says that, so I gotta say it. And then I'll catch you guys in the next video.